authentic voice. Open wide the closing door. Fully forward, heart in flight. No turning back, just pure ascent.
Hi everyone. Welcome to the Fully Forward podcast. Welcome to the Fully Forward movement. We're so glad to have an amazing young man with us today named Drew. Drew is the co-creator with his wife Lauren of, you said what?
Something like that. Yeah, you said
Okay.
what?
You said what? You said what? Yeah. Which is a series that is on YouTube, correct? Yeah. I want to talk to you about that, and I want to talk to you today. This month, we're really kicking off with purpose and the word purposefully, right? Because fully forward is, the main word is fully, which to us means that we are completely, entirely, whatever we're doing, we're fully in it. And for being forward, it is all about not being stagnant, not being stuck, just regardless of what life throws at us, that we're going to fully, completely, entirely have movement and momentum and just keep going regardless, right?
Forward.
So forward, absolutely. So I am Toni, as you know, and this is Nino, as you know. And so super, super excited to have you with us, Drew.
Thank you.
I want to just ask you a couple little questions. We're going to tag team on our questions and go back and forth. But the first thing I want to speak with you about is the vision. Because I want to hear about, you said what you guys were thinking about, how it started and all of that. So since Fully Forward is about momentum and growth, you said what is about the unfiltered, often, sometimes it's chaotic, right? Reality of just human opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes it's really funny. Sometimes it is that you said what? Sometimes it's like, what the foolishness is this, right?
That's the funny part.
Yeah, and so it was an honor to be on episode 3. I want you to talk about the episodes that have come out so far and what they've been about. I was on the dark skin episode because I'm a chocolate girl, and so so I was invited to come on that episode, and it was pretty funny. And I want to make sure that by the end of the episode today, I want you to tell people where they can find you, under what tag, whether it's Instagram, Facebook,
Just plug yourself.
YouTube,
Plug
exactly,
in.
wherever it
Plug
is.
in.
And we're going to make sure it's that everybody can find you all, and we'll tag you as well. So we will talk about exactly how you and Lauren, as the founders of You Said What, turned cultural conversations into a structured mission to bridge cultural gaps and challenge assumptions. Is that cool?
Well, yeah, it is. We're going to do it.
Exactly, right. Because a lot of the assumptions that we've seen already on your first couple episodes, you've had 4 out now, but like that first one with all the D9,
Mm-hmm.
and we hear a lot of this thing like, if you're in a sorority or fraternity, you can't be a Christian because that's like, worship to somebody other than God and all this kind of stuff. And so I know you talked about that and asked those questions because many of the people in those organizations are fully saved Christians, love the Lord, serving their church, serving the community. And they're like, we didn't have to haze, or when I went through, we didn't haze and all that. So that's part of that whole cultural conversations. And I want to just chat with you about
Can
that.
you talk about that? Because I did a little bit of research on that, and there's some rituals in the beginning
Mm-hmm.
that you can't avoid to be a part of those. I'm not in it. I didn't.
Pledge, right?
I've been a self-made millionaire since I know. But I've been an entrepreneur.
I was like, you want to trade?
Right?
I've been an entrepreneur probably since I was 14 years old. So I already knew what I was doing, probably when I was 8. But tell me about that more, about the ritualistic part, well, that they say is ritualistic, or the process of getting in a fraternity or sorority. Is it ritualistic, or is it just a part of the initiation? Like, how does that work?
Well, I guess for anything like fraternity or sorority rise, you do your own research and you say, like, which one best speaks to me. So, like, all the fraternity and sororities, we're service-based groups, helping the Black community from Black men and women who decided this is what needs to be happening in our country. So, for as part as, like, the ritual stuff, like, everyone has rituals in their own life. So that's just like a word we like to do. Like, everybody wakes up at 8 a.m.
Routine.
They have to like, get their coffee. Like we all do these things. So when you enter a fraternity or sorority, or you're, privileged to have that chance to, you do certain things that will help you better understand the service and the mission of the organization you're joining. So, when you hear people say like, oh, devil worship things, like, da, 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 it's not that. It's rituals that people take, whether you're going to a job, anything else in your life, that they're misconstruing as devil worship. Because it's not like, oh, because I'm part of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And so,
That's
guys,
right.
gotta put that out there.
Plug your stuff.
And so it's not like I said, like, oh, Drew Fletcher's now black and gold, old gold forever. And then, you just see it appear on my skin and then it, like, disappears. It's just like, oh, God.
I'm so glad you're dispelling it, because you're right. The organizations, when it comes to D9, people that are not part of that believe that it's worshiping the devil or whatever, because it's secretive. So you guys have protocols. And fortunately for me, my daughter Hannah, who's a AKA, she didn't go through the hazing and all of that. And she's on like the protocol for her particular chapter. But she's like, no, Mom. And there's things that you just cannot share outside of the organization. So I think for me, what I understand is a lot of people that are not in a D9 organization, because they don't get to know the ins and outs and look at it as, oh, it's secretive. Oh, they did these rituals to get in. But I just saw something recently that said, I guess, Delta, because theirs is like this. Their main thing. And that's a demonic sign. But if you look, there is a subset of our culture that goes and looks for everything to say it's demonic, right? They looked at like what's that energy drink with the
Monster? It was demonic?
The sevens or whatever on it, the little
Monster.
symbol is demonic. Like almost every symbol for anything can be made to be or is demonic. There is a group that finds and looks at every little thing and goes, oh, this is demonic. Oh, that is demonic. So again, I'm not going to pass judgment on a D9 org, because the only thing that I've ever seen is the service side, what they are out in the community doing and helping one another and those that aren't D9. But I've been to step shows, right? And you see all the amazing, that kind of stuff that's going on. But it's just interesting to me that there's been such a, I don't even know if I want to call it attack, but from the Christian community in the past few years of, you have to renounce any organization that you're in outside of church. But when you think about anything can be a god, my cell phone could be a god. If this is the very first thing, I could idolize it. If it's the first thing I do in the morning before I sit up, do devotion, pray, or whatever, I've made it a god or an idol. And so that would be demonic. But we use them every day for our lives, right? So I think it depends on maybe, and you tell us because we don't know, but the context of how we're looking from the outside into these orgs and what we hear.
And I think it's also about like programming that we've taken as Black Americans that we just realize is generational. Because like often demonic is African. And then like a lot of our founders have done like a lot of research into why they did things for our shield and our emblems, and it's like traces back to Africa and like different things from that. So if you like know the ritual and you know like the meaning behind it and why they did that, you see like it's all African based, and because we're in like a Eurocentric country, it's like, oh, it's African, it's bad, it's evil.
That's true, because even them calling us Black, right? Our culture as African Americans or whatever, having brown skin. When you think of Black, it's always been bad. You know, the black face, the
blacklisted, like
exactly, all of that.
Negative.
That has to
Black
do
is
with
associated to negative.
Yeah.
That's true.
The light bulb moment is what this called. So, this is about the origin of your comedy. So, moving past what we just grabbed, like we just grabbed a mic. Moving past that, what was the specific interaction or social disconnect that made them realize people needed to be heard or challenged?
Well, first, the show that like inspired us was You Can't Ask This. It was a Netflix show about different Australian groups, like cops, firefighters and stuff. And like me and Lauren were watching it, and we're like, oh, what if they did a black version? And I was like, that'd be so cool. And like, you know, I'm just up and down, I'm just like,
That
we
was
were
the
the black
light.
version.
That was it.
Like, what if we were the
We
black
are the black
version?
version. Huh?
It's like, and it's like, I'm trying to get better as I get older. It's like when you have like an idea that like keeps bugging you to actually act on it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a lot of people have ideas and it's just like, oh, that'd be so cool if I did, or
And then
that'd
you
be so
forget
cool.
about
If
it.
yeah, you
Wrong
forget
with the
about it.
pen.
Because like, I always hear a story because, you know, I'm very geeky, love all that type of stuff. But like, this guy was like very mad, the guy who made Pokemon, because he's like, oh, I had that idea 5 years ago.
Yeah, well,
You didn't do anything with it. So it's like, like, even you did it, or you could have made it better. You didn't do anything with it.
Let me tell you something about that. I would be a billionaire right now. No, seriously. When my oldest child is going to be 39. When I had her, I was stationed in Japan. I was in the Air Force. There was nothing. She had, you know, the pacifier. We called them the Nook, right? And I was like, what can I do? This thing keeps falling. And I love to sew. No matter where I've been, either I have a sewing machine or I'm going to have something I sew. So I went and bought some ribbon, a bunch of different colors so it would match her outfits. And I turned it over the Nook and I sewed it. And then I did a safety pin on this side to put it to her clothes.
So
It was necessity. Years later, they have it now where it's like a clip, right?
It's a big deal.
And everybody buys those things. I'm like,
So you don't.
I did this 10 years ago. I would be a billionaire right now. So it's so important that we do have that light bulb moment, as Shannon asked you about, and that we act on it. Yeah. That's
It's
crazy.
so important because we ask God to download to us, and He does. And I believe that He doesn't stop.
No.
Like, you ask for it, and then it's like when you wake up in the middle of the night, like you had a dream. And then I'll tell myself, okay, I heard it. And then go back to sleep.
Better get up
And then
write
wake
it
up
down.
and totally forget, like, I should have wrote it. And I had the whole sequence of everything. And oh my God, He showed me it.
Right, now you got to try to remember so you can now try to write it down instead of getting up in the moment and doing it. So did you guys have, as part of the light bulb moment, I don't know what else is part of that question, but did that kind of follow?
The leap.
Once you,
Discussing the transition from like hobbyist content creators to founders of a recognizable media brand. Like, it was the leap right into it.
No, it was like a little bit like a few months before that. Cause I was like,
long leap.
it was a long leap because I was like, Lauren, we should do this. And she's like, oh, that sounds cool. What should our episodes be about? I was like, well, you know, I'm Greek, so I can find like definitely a lot of like, you know, Greek people talk about that.
Right.
And then I told her like, what if we did like light skin and dark skin people talk about that? She's like, you want to start a war? Like, why do you want to do that? It's been played out. I'm like, no, not a versus, but like different perspectives.
Yeah.
And actually having like like, you know, a dialogue about it. Because when people talk about it, it's always like it's dark skin versus light skin versus dark skin. But I was like, we're all black. We all have different experiences, but we're all still united in our shared journey.
Yeah.
So like we show us different perspectives. I think would be a good thing.
Yeah.
And she's like,
Yeah, because it's so amazing that we're in 2026 and we still have colorism issues, right? Within our culture.
Oh, 100%.
I think that was smart, though.
yeah. Because I just always think, because I tell myself I'm in the middle. I can't play for a
you're
team.
calm.
Kind of
Yeah,
in the
you're-
middle.
Yeah.
You like that curl, like Luther Vandross. You like curl. You right there. Didn't quite curl.
Like, just could.
Either way, but you just didn't quite. Yeah.
So like I can never say like, oh, I know both experiences. So like listening to your episode, listening to a light skin episode, I was like, so much is happening. Like one of my frat brothers who did the show with Toni, we asked him like, oh, what type of things have you been called? He said 11:59, and I was like,
You didn't quite make it to midnight.
he almost curled.
Not quite curl.
I'm like, what? Because I never heard that. Not midnight.
11:59. I ain't there.
Right.
I get it.
And he's a joker, as you fully
Yes,
know.
he's
He just said with a
crazy.
straight face, it's 11:59.
Yeah. You have to watch it. It was episode 3.
I cannot wait.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have not had an opportunity to really get into it.
Yeah.
but It sounds amazing.
It was hilarious.
So, yeah. All right. Well,
And I was sitting there in between these two going,
like,
they were like, your facial expressions. I was just like, what? And they're both pastors. But that girl,
Holy Ghost.
right. I was like, what?
Like her facial expressions were just funny. Just like every other time they were talking, just.
I can't hide it. Right. Yeah, it was
I
great.
Love it. Okay.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about defining the why, right? we know that you watched the show and had that light bulb moment, and then you took the leap, even though you said it was a little bit longer of a leap, like you did a triple jump, right? Because you got to run and do a couple times before the full leap. So was it for you like purpose over pranks? Can you clarify the mission of you said what? Meaning, like, is it a social experiment, entertainment, or a form of modern journalism, or a little bit of everything? What's the why?
I think the why is just for us to see ourselves from ourselves in like a positive light, and from somebody who like has a love for their culture, because
Yeah.
not all skin folk are kinfolk type thing.
Better say that loud and proud.
And I just remember being as a kid, like, I'm from Arizona originally, so I thought like the only good black people were like the ones I was related to, because every time I looked at the media, I just saw people getting jailed up, gangsters and everything. It's
All
like
the
I almost fell
negativity.
for that type of stuff as a kid. But my mom, super pro-black. I always tell people she's like ex-Black Panther,
And
like
she's from Arizona?
New Jersey.
I never knew anybody from
New
Arizona.
Jersey and was living in
Sorry,
Arizona.
Yeah.
He said he was from Arizona. I just, okay, nice to meet you. I never knew anybody that was actually
She
from
said, nice
Yeah.
to meet you again, like she just met you.
Arizonian. Okay,
I know. Yep. I'm
sorry.
from the desert. I was born in
My
fire,
God, today.
120-degree
And you
weather.
still-
Like,
Right.
Decided to not lean in. You're not even 11:59. You like 11:30. So yeah, okay, Arizona. Okay, my bad. Okay, bring it back.
my sister and my father are darker than me, so yeah, they're more like 11 and 30. I'm
They're
probably
from
like,
Arizona.
I'm like a 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like a.
I'd be 11:30 because that 11:59, he's almost your shorts color.
See? He really was
Because I was like
12:01.
blackety black. We love being black, but yes, he was almost 11. He was almost midnight. 11:59 and a half.
12:01.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Hey, sorry.
So,
Anyway,
so you being from there and doing this, did you feel like part of it, the turning it to positivity instead of only seeing negative on the news? And we know that with blackface, with in the old movies, if a white lady was running, they pan over and it was some black man crouched down or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So always in the negative in the media. So now you are doing media through your series, and you wanted to speak about that. Is it not only to hear the positive voice and not only to be entertainment, obviously, because that's another thing. They think we're good for just entertainment, but here you have very intellectually smart people on your shows, on in each episode, and I loved it because you had a real broad range of ages. So where did the social experiment or journalism or whatever fit into that why? Like the reason why you had a broad spectrum of ages and your different topics and all of that, because I know you wanted to get the perspective, but how did that come into play?
I think another part of the why was like having. Me and my mom always argue all the time, because it's like, I remember as a kid, I'd be like, Mom, this is what the teacher told me to say. And then my mom be like, that no teacher would tell you to say that. Like, this is what you should be doing. I'm just like, Mom, listen to me. This is my perspective. My perspective is what I heard. She's like, oh, da, da, da. But I'm like 10, like,
Moms are always right anyway, right? We
Yeah.
can't never tell them anything.
think.
Right.
So I think part of it was having like a wide range of like wisdom to come through, because on the Willie Lynch letter, whether you believe it or not, it's always that thing of like, young versus old, light skin versus dark skin. And it's like, for us supposed to be in a monolith to like the rest of the world, we all are very different in very different ways.
It shouldn't even be a versus. It should be just
Yeah.
perspective.
Just
Right.
perspective. So I just wanted to make sure we have that, because it would have been very easy for me to be like, get everybody in my age group to say something for each episode. And then
I love it.
people wouldn't have been able to like connect as much, because it's like, well, these guys are all born in the 90s or like 80s, but like I'm from the 60s, or like, I'm early 2000s. It's like, how would I be able to like relate to this,
Right.
So that was kind of part of the why too, to actually have those things. Because I feel like I learned so much about the culture of
Right.
my culture that like, really get to see, because you're in your own part of the world. Because, from California is very different. Somebody from Detroit,
And
somebody from
Arizona.
Atlanta, Arizona.
Goodness, yeah.
She gonna look at me after this over like, like, show me your
Yeah.
ID. I was like, it's switching now. It says California, but I promise you I'm from Arizona.
Grew up in Tucson or Phoenix or
Phoenix.
Yeah.
I would say Mesa, but Phoenix
Mesa,
is
yeah.
me.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I got a lot lot of family that lives in Arizona. They migrated there. They are from Watts. And they
Now
went
that's
over
a
there
change.
to Arizona. So this was pretty cool to know Arizonian. Okay, I
Yeah.
love it. That was a good life.
I know they're boiling now. Ooh.
Man.
God, today. Good
And
to-
so, if we look at what you said about perspective and it not just being entertainment or a social experiment or anything like that, how did you decide, especially with all the editing, what made the final cut for each episode?
I think when I was watching it or doing the interviews, I mentally like made notes in my head. It's like, oh, I like that answer. Oh, I like that answer. That sounds cool.
Got
And
it.
then while I was editing, I was like, I've been trying to like, besides reading, like have a little vocabulary app on my phone, like to get things going. So I'm like, that's a word I haven't heard before. Let's make that out, because I don't know if you've seen some of the episodes that'd be
I
like,
have.
cadre or like consortium, and you're just like,
oh,
like I don't
yeah, you get the
usually hear these words.
people walking around saying,
And you know what? You're right, because you had a broad age range, right?
Mhm.
And so someone in my age range, right, is going to speak a lot differently than someone in my children's age range or someone who has grandchildren's age range, right? Because we hear a lot of times. I remember the first time my son said, some, bruh.
you want to knock his
I
socks off.
said, what did you
I
call
am
me?
not your brother, sir.
I said, I will never be bruh, Seth. Do you understand that? And he was like, oh, Mom, I'm sorry. But that's part of the culture now, right?
Mhm.
And everybody says bruh.
It's their lingo.
Right. But I'm like, bruh, you just called me bruh, like thing. I was like, oh. And now if it slips out, I'm not. But the first time I got called bruh by one of my kids, I was like, you done lost
Do
your
you
mind
know
for
what
real.
it means to pick teeth up?
Right. Because our generation, that's what it would have been.
Whisper turn into a roar, finding my authentic voice. Open wide the closing door, fully forward, heart in flight, no turning back, just pure ascent.